Hello, everybody, and welcome to another one of these Fury of Dracula 101 teaching videos. I'm actually streaming this live on Twitch, so everybody who's in the Twitch chat, feel free to say hi to YouTube. Yeah, very welcome in. You might have seen the previous videos in this series where I did, first of all, a very basic sort of overview of the moves that the Hunters and Dracula players can make, and very, very basic strategy. We played a few turns, and we saw different things that could happen. And then we did another video where I was playing as Hunters against a Terminator, and I was showcasing the basic Hunter strategy there, going into a little bit more detail in terms of what the cards do and how a Hunter player thinks a little bit during the game. It was a bit of a quirky game. It was a bit mad, but you saw a little bit of everything in that one. So as I said, every game of Fury of Dracula is different. You never know what you're going to get when you go in. So what we're going to do today in this video is we switch roles. The Terminator is going to play as the Hunters. I'm going to play as Dracula. Terminator might beat me here because I haven't played for quite a while, and I know he's been winning a couple of games. So yeah, I could definitely lose this. For some reason, my Twitch chat isn't appearing, so I need to put that turned on. Okay, I think everything else is working. So there you go. So yeah, I'm going to be playing as Dracula, going through the basic kind of sort of aspects of Dracula and the moves I'm going to make, decisions I have to make during the game, all that sort of stuff. I will show you, before we go into the game, the advanced rules. So normally when you join our digital community, links below to that, by the way, for the Discord. We play with all the advanced rules turned on, so we have all the power cards for Dracula and rumor tokens and layers. I'll go into that a little bit as we go through. We've got free placement for the Hunters, and then inside the house rules, we're keeping everything standard. We did actually have a tournament recently where Dark Call, the power card, was modified to draw an event card for Dracula, but that's been turned off for this. We'll play with the standard rule set. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. There's lots of other things you can vary in here, but if you join our community or play with us, these are the rules you'll be playing with. That being said, though, I am somebody who is not against, especially if you're playing against somebody who is a newer Hunter player, and if you're an experienced Dracula player, I've got nothing against turning off some of these power cards and layers and things, just to make it a little bit easier, because you agree it ahead of time, right? And both players agree to play with that rule set. It's kind of nice in this game that you have these additional abilities for Dracula that you can turn off if the Hunter player or the Hunter team, because of course you can play Hunters as a team, if they find it too difficult. So I think that's kind of a nice thing to do to balance the game a little bit. But generally, inside our digital community, especially with experienced players, the win rate's pretty much 50-50 between the two factions. So when we play in tournaments and things, we always play with all the advanced rules turned on. So there you go. And normally in tournaments, we play it so that everybody plays Hunters and Dracula during the tournament. So if you're a Hunter player and you're struggling with the advanced rules and it's a little bit too easy for Dracula, well then you can play as Dracula in a later game and then you can take advantage of all the power cards, so that's fine. I assume the Terminator's happy with this. When we played the other side, we had it with all the advanced rules on, so I'll do that. Also, just I guess also as a teaching rule to show you these things, I think it'd be kind of useful. So let's just get into it, shall we? I'll do it like that. So, yeah, good luck to Terminator. Good luck, good luck. I don't know if you're dipping out to Terminator or if you're staying in. Oh, you're off. Okay, cool. So, I think this is probably the one thing, right? If when we had the other game and the Terminator was playing as Dracula, he was able to still kind of watch. But in this situation, when Dracula's the one who's hidden, it's going to be a huge advantage if the Terminator knows exactly where I am. So, yeah. So obviously people on YouTube, you don't have to worry about this, but people on Twitch, I've tried to rig the sort of advert slots. We've got about an hour and 20 minutes of uninterrupted Fury of Dracula time. If we have to run an advert later on, then we'll have to. Thanks for the lurk, Julie. You're very welcome. So yeah, people who are in Twitch chat, feel free to ask as many questions as you want. I will try to be explaining myself as much as I can. But feel free to chip in with any questions about what I'm doing. If something's not particularly clear, let me know. I think a lot of the things I did explain in the previous video, but it's also been a while since I recorded that, even though they're all going to be released together, just because of not having enough time in the day to do everything. Oh! He went in the wrong location. Oh, well, that's a good start. Oh, dear. he got geography all mixed up. I mean, you can actually start Gadami and Seward in Munich. That is a starting setup I have seen, but if he wants to be in Vienna, that makes sense. Oh dear, that's the first thing about Fury of Dracula. You have to get the geography right. That's right, Leo. You're very welcome. Right, let's just double check. Nothing funny going here. Nope. Right. Take 2 then. That's alright. I'm keeping that in. So anywho. So yeah, so obviously, if you weren't here before, or if you missed the other videos or whatever, hunters have to pick their sign locations first, and then Dracula assesses the board and then decides where he's going to stay. When you buy the physical edition of the game, or if you don't have free placement turned on in the digital edition, there is set positions for the hunters. But to be honest, I think having these the hunter ability to pick their own locations, I think is very important. So, Determinator is using a start that we call the superhero start. It is the same setup as what I use, except the position of John Seward and Mina Harker has been flipped. Hey, Temeken. Well, that's the thing, right? So this is not the start I was I don't actually know how Determinator plays hunters, because I actually haven't watched any of his games. But this is the superhero startup. So basically, these 2 hunters are going to be incredibly powerful, but these 2 are more isolated. So I definitely feel, I mean, if I was going to be playing against my setup, where Mina would be here and Seward would be here, I would start in the east, because often I find, and this is not to be disrespectful to newer players, because I was in this position, and as a experienced player, I still get caught out by this, but I'd often start in the east because it's quite a difficult extremity location for inexperienced hunters to deal with, because there's a lot of small cities, you can easily drag them out of position, and then the other 2 hunters are very far away. But because it's Seward and Godalming here, I don't really want to be near them. So, to be honest, I kind of do want to start on this western side of the board and maybe muck around with Mina a little bit, but then that could really backfire on me. But let's just try it anyway. So I think there is also another option. Could also try and do an Amsterdam start. That is also something else we could do. Or we could also do a southern Italy start and see we can maybe test the Terminator's deductive abilities a little bit. Yeah, I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to do this. Oh, I should have looked at my starting hand. I'm so used to not being able to see the starting hand. So this is my starting hand. Not too bad, to be honest. We've got quite a lot of good things in here. So, yeah, we got some interesting things. We got a vamp, which means we can do some early vampire shenaniganry. We got spy, which is good. Fog's nice. Bats is good as well. Alrighty, so Totona is just supplying, so I can't really do much for a bit. I should really pay attention to what he's discarding, but... Oh, there's a local rumours, okay. That's obviously useless, because he's in London, it doesn't trigger there. If you're a newer Fury of Dracula player and you don't exactly know what the cards do, if you're in Twitch chat, you can ask me. But if otherwise, the digital edition has an in-game library, so I really do recommend just spending a little bit of time going into that library and studying the cards, so you when you see the name of the card, you know more or less what it does. Hello Moose, welcome in. Terminus, hello. Oh, I read your name Terminus as Temeken for some reason. Hello Terminus, welcome in. England Suffer final next to Mina. Yeah, well, I think what I'm maybe planning to do here is muck around in southern Italy for a bit and hopefully drag these 2 in here, or get a very nice vampire mature. And I might actually go across over into Iberia anyway and just annoy Mina. So I'm going for an extremity start. So I'm going to put a... It's a shame it's a new vampire, so if it matures, it only gets 6 points. But I'm basically going to try and drag these 2 down into this extremity location. Or if they don't, then I'm guaranteed to get the points. But what I'm actually going to do first... A little bit rogue, but I'm going to do it for the bats. In Bari here, the extremity, I'm actually going to put Fog. Because if it matures, then it gives me a good opportunity to block, you know, access to the rest of Italy from these two. If they go and deal with it, then they're going to get fogged, and then they can't do anything. Or I could even layer it if it falls off the trail, and then I could return to it later and have a very powerful location there. And also, I don't want a situation where he gets behind the veil and he just takes the fog away from me. So let's put fog down first. A little bit unconventional, but let's go for it. But basically, what I'm going to be doing here, this fog is going to be acting like a protecting card for the vampire that I've now obtained. You know I like aggressive Dracula. Well, that's the thing, right? And that's the cool thing with this game, right? Everyone's going to be... every player, excuse me, will play this game differently based upon your own personality and also the player that you're playing against. So that's really cool. I don't know Determinator's playstyle. That's the thing, because I haven't really played it. I played against him once. I think we did another video like this, but I think the video got lost, I think, for some reason. I can't remember exactly now. Since then, I know he's won a game as Hunters. Even though he's not been playing a huge amount. I understand rocket science in this game equally. Well, don't worry, Moose. This is part of a Fury of Dracula 101 series. So they'll hopefully go up on the channel next week. So you'll be able to learn this game a little bit. But feel free to stick around, Moose. If you want to ask questions, you can. So what I'm going to do, I've just also got to pay attention to items they're discarding. So I can see the discard pile at all times. There's a holy circle in here. It's not a very good item. That's fine. If I'm able to look at what they're discarding and also who is discarding it, I can gain information about what the hunters are potentially holding in terms of items. So my plan here's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to go from Bari into Naples. Naples is quite a difficult location to reach. The hunters have spent a lot of time trying to get down into here. I'm going to put the vampire. I'll put a rumor token on it. So if this vampire matures, if it survives the whole week and it falls off the trail, I'll get 7 points. And remember, Dracula's objective is to get 13, so I'm already halfway to victory, if that's the case. So I'm utilizing the extremity to my advantage, but I put down the fog, firstly, just maybe a hope. I didn't verbalize it, but I hoped if I just put down one encounter, when I redraw and fill up my encounter hand again, I might get a 4-point vampire, which is what Reckless is, rather than the 3-point new vampire. But also, I'm going to use this fog as a sort of a protective thing. I want Determinator to think, oh, this could be a really difficult encounter. It might be a hoax which I need to stop. Or he might just blindly go and deal with it before going to deal with Naples. And then he triggers the fog and then he can't move for ages. So that's what I want. So I'm going to slide the trail. So that's always what you do on Dracula's turn. You slide the trail first. And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to misdirect my starting location, because this location is going to be a space that I might want to go back to at some point, and also I don't want him to suddenly discover it with a newspaper reports or something. You don't have to misdirect, but it's meta to do it. But there are a lot of people now recently who don't do it. So there are definitely ways you can do it where you keep it on the trail, it gets layered, and then you go back to it and all this sort of stuff. There's kind of clever mind games you can do here. So I'm going to go into Naples. Throw down the Reckless. And I'm just going to instantly rumor this. I don't have to. I can wait until it's on the third space of the trail. But just in case something happens, and if he uses to hide scouts on it, and then I don't hide, or I go to see earlier, I don't want to forget about the rumor token. So let's just get the rumor token down now, so we don't forget about it. You can put a rumor token on the first, second, or third space of the trail. But if you are at sea, or you play Dark Call, or you play Feed, you cannot place a rumor token on your turn. So there you go. So these rumor tokens are basically going to enhance the mature effect of only vampires. But what you can also do is use rumor tokens to bluff that there's a vampire there when there actually isn't. Italy start can end dramatically in the first week if the Huns are lucky and have Charlie Carriage, Lucy, Sense of Emergency. Yep. Yeah, no, they can. But the thing is, the problem with an Italy start is you start with the extremity and then you're having to move towards the hunters, and there's not a very... Oh, he's discarding a rifle. Interesting. There's a very narrow way out of Italy, and then these two could instantly come down and pounce on you and you take a lot of damage. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to sea. So that's one way of sort of circumventing that risk. I could also wolf form out of Italy, but I don't want to do that. I might actually take a little bit of damage and go Mediterranean, or Tyrrhenian, Mediterranean, and then go into go into Iberia. I could have also put my first encounter into Naples and then gone Bari and then gone into the east. I've done setups like this before. I had a tournament game about 6 or 7 months ago, which this worked really well. I think I had the fog actually in Rome, and it matured and it blocked off everything in here, and then the hoax matured and a vampire matured behind it, which was really neat. And then I was able to wolf form into the center of the map and do lots of nasty stuff. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I might also bluff that I'm in Ireland. Because if I put down just one more encounter space, I could just hide, or I go into Rome. There is a possibility where I go into Trini and then just instantly land or move out, and then it will look like that maybe I'm in Ireland with a hide card. And that it would might deter me to panic a little bit that I'm in Ireland and I'm doing some sort of Botanica shenanigans, but I'm not. I'm actually in another part of the map. Yeah, it was just like the best starting hand I could have got, Terminus, and it works out very well. But then sometimes you don't get a good starting hand as Dracula, so then you have to adapt your strategy. But the good thing is now with the game, you get to see the encounter hand before you place your starting location, so you can plan a little bit ahead. As Dracula, you have to try and plan ahead a little bit, but at the same time, you also have to be adaptable, because you might have this amazing plan, but then the hunters might move in a way that you don't expect, and then you have to completely change your entire plan then. So I've got a couple of things I could do. Do I want to hide in Naples and put down the bats to provide even more protection in case the Terminator ignores Bari and he just goes straight down into Naples, like with a chartered carriage or something? I don't know. I'm trying to think about how greedy I want to be. I don't know. How are they doing for events? 1 event, 2 events, 2 events. Because I could also go Tyrrhenian Ionian and then go east. That's also something else I could do. Especially if these two move down this way. But also don't want to use the bats now if I don't need to. I don't know, actually. I think my gut instinct is to play a little bit more conservative. That's the way I like to normally play, but that can often end badly. But let's use the hide. Also just show off the hide ability again for anybody who hasn't seen it. So let's hide with bats here. Oh, I got my second fog. So this fog in Bari and these bats in Naples will add a lot of sort of protection, and it makes it very likely that this vampire is going to mature. So that's what we're going to do. I don't have another Reckless, so that's not going to happen. Man, there is another option where I just move up normally out of Italy, and I put another fog into Venice, and I go Adriatic, and then wolf form east. That's also something else I could do. We'll see. A lot's going to depend on the timing of the hunters getting newspaper reports and stuff. I could also just go Tyrrhenian now and then wolf form into Marseille. There's also something else I could do. But that'd be the same as me just going into Florence and wolf forming. So, yeah, I'm not sure actually. So now the hunters are reaching their hand limit, so they're going to start discarding a lot more items. So you discarded this. You discarded another rifle. Okay, so Gadami must have pretty strong stuff if he's discarded 2 rifles already. But I don't know if they're horses, if they're stakes, if they're heavy hose, if they're knives. Maybe it's just another rifle. But you get a bit of a sense when you see what the Huns are discarding. That gives you a lot of information about what they're holding on to. So both 2 holy bullets have been discarded. And Mina's got the 3rd one. So I've got a bit of an advantage here because I do know the item deck very well. So I know the number of items in the deck. And that will give me an idea of you know, discounting certain things. I know there are 2 crucifixes, so one's in the discard, but it's possible the other one's still in the deck. But the fact that all the holy bullets are visible to me, it means if I do go into combat with the hunters, either with Dracula himself or with one of my vampires, I don't have to worry about holy bullets. So this information, you as Dracula, you slowly increment information. Is that increment would be the right word here? You get incremental information about what the hunters are holding on to, but then if the item deck resets, then you lose some of that information. Hunters are a little bit different because they don't have as much information to try to deduce. The main thing they're trying to deduce is Dracula's location. They don't have as much information to try and deduce. But what they're having to do is their deductive side is yes, trying to find out where I am, but also they're looking at the events and items they are accumulating and the certain distribution of things, and they're then trying to make an assessment on what they are able to do and what they're not able to do. Do they have lots of movement? Which means then they can kind of run around the map quite a lot because they know they've got movement to then recover, or they can allow themselves to get a little bit behind Dracula because then they've got a lot of movement to catch up. Or, if they don't have a lot of movement, then they're going to have to be very, very conservative with the way they move. So yeah, I've now got a bit of a decision here what to do. I'm a little bit tempted to go Tyrrhenian. And just to try to fake a little bit that I've gone Britannia. I'm going to move 2 C spaces. That might confuse him a little bit. But yeah, let's solve it. Let's just do it. So I'm going to take damage here. 2 damage going to the sea, then 1 more to go to Mediterranean. I could just land at Alicante and then feed. And then sort of waltz around Mina for a bit. We'll see if Mina moves or not. So hopefully this is going to make the Terminator think a little bit about what's going on. Ooh, discarding a stake. Okay, so again, stakes are a really important thing to count because there are only 4 of them. And also then, once you start seeing stakes being discarded, then you know that vampires can be thrown down. Because if the Huns are going to deal with them, they're going to have to deal with them in combat, not with stakes, because stakes can kind of avoid that risky combat. Yeah, exactly, yeah. I'm pretending that I'm in Ireland, but I'm not in Ireland. But it doesn't look like that Determinator's taken the bait, which makes me think he's maybe got newspaper reports. But maybe he might start trading events in anticipation that Van Helsing or Mina is going to have to do a lot of movement to get over here, and then they suddenly discover that I wasn't there all along, so yeah, they'll trade them all back again. Still trying to do ticket economy, that makes sense. Nothing out is really strange. But Mina's still holding on to bullets, which makes me think that she's probably got a gun, or the other things that she's got are not worth revealing, but she's probably got a gun, would be my guess. So I could have done something a little bit more exciting by going close to Mina and doing a little dance around her and trying to bait her into a bad fight, but I think this is like a nice sort of solid strategy, not in terms of me trying to fake Ireland or anything, but the fact just throwing down a rumour token very, very early, I think that's a solid strategy for new players. Just find an extremity location, put down a vampire and go from there. The early sieve movement is not conventional, by the way. That I probably wouldn't recommend. But I just want to do a little bit. I want to have a little bit of fun here as well. The risk is when hunters get likes of hired scouts and things, they're going to scout extremity locations. So southern Italy is one that's very common to check. Amsterdam's a very common check. Anything sort of a lot, Valona, Athens, Galatz, Bucharest, Constantivana. These are very common places for hunters to check because they're hard to reach and they want to know the information sooner. So yeah, newspaper reports, no real surprise there. I don't think you got any hired scouts yet, actually. So I'm going to worry about those hired scouts later. That's the only problem. So now the cogs are going to be turning a little bit here for the Terminator in terms of, does he deal with Bari? Can he get to Bari? Can he get to the next location? Does he have stakes? Does he have forewarns? Does he have charted carriages? All the stuff he needs to get there. Does he even bother going there? Does he let it go? He also then got to try and work out. He knows where he knows that I left from Tyrrhenian Sea. This is probably the one disadvantage with the move that I've made. If I'd started in Naples, then I could have gone Naples, Rome, Bari, or Naples, Bari, Rome. And he wouldn't know if I'm in Tyrrhenian or if I'm in Adriatic, like going off that way. But now he knows it's very obvious I left from the Tyrrhenian. But he doesn't know if I've gone into Ionian or I'm in Mediterranean. The places you check with hired scouts depend on your opponent. Yes, that is very true. Very, very true. Okay, interesting. So you can get to Venice. Have you got an excellent weather to come over here? If you spent an excellent weather just to get then fogged, I'll be very happy. Oh, hello. Okay. Again, if they're using these sort of high-value movement cut... Whoa, where are you off to? Where are you off to? Okay. I think there's a trade that has to be done. But hey, they're using Sense of Emergency. The problem is now, these three are going to be on the western side of the board, and I'm in the west. That's really bad. If I'd gone Ionian, I would be in such a strong position here. But I didn't. So there you go. That's kind of funny thing with this game. I took a little bit of a gamble. I just expected Seward and Gadami to sort of stay on the eastern side of the board. I didn't expect Seward to Sense of Emergency westward to do a trade. So Mina's got horses. So she's got horses and bullets. So the only thing she must have then is a... If you've got horses, you'd reveal them. So I don't know why these bullets are still revealed. So does she actually have a gun, or is she trying to hide the horse? The problem is now I know that she has a horse. So I'm just going to land in Alicante. I could also land in Barcelona. And then go Saragossa, and then in this way. But I also want to feed, and I don't know how much time I'm going to be given. I do have to respect the possibility they could just suddenly rail down and get me. So the other thing I'm trying to count here is, if this vampire does mature, it's going to remove these 3 spaces from the trail. So that means I can now put down another vampire, but I don't have a rumour token yet. But this is Saturday night, Sunday, I could then put down another one. So maybe we just try to accelerate the game a little bit and just see what the Terminator can do here. So I'm going to put down another vamp, and I'm going to see if he's prepared or not for multiple vampires in a row. We'll see. So I've not put the rumour token yet because I haven't got one, but once it goes into Monday of the second week, I'll get a rumour token, and it'll be just the right timing that I can place it. Now, you can also save rumour tokens. You don't have to play them as soon as you get them available. You can have them so they're all stacked up together. So in the third week, you suddenly have rumour token, rumour token, rumour token. You can only place 1 rumour token per day. Ooh, okay. So, this is great. Okay, so this means Bari's going to mature. So what I can do, there's 2 ways I can play this. I can either just layer Bari, and then hope that Godalming does not have a forewarned. But I think he might have a forewarned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mature the Fog Rome, and then Godalming's stuck there, and he can't deal with the Naples vampire. So in the end, I did waste this bats. But I didn't know how quick... He might have found me a couple turns earlier. Interesting that Mina's moving over here. I'm not quite sure what that's about. It's very interesting. I don't really understand that, but okay. The question is, do I want to feed now? Probably, because they're gonna go up and trade. Is there a risk they're just gonna 3-2 rail on top of me? Okay, that's an event trade. That's not an item trade. I'm not quite sure why Mina's here, but that's okay. I'm not trying to critique Determinator's play, but that's an advantage for me that this is now a little bit more open. So I've now got a choice because the fog is sliding off the trail. I can layer it or mature it. Maturing it here will give me a huge advantage. I guess the question is, do I think Gadami has a forewarned? So this is where I've got to take a little bit of a gamble here. I could also fog Mina, so I can only... if I mature this, I can fog any city inside the Italia region. I could also fog Mina that she can't do anything. Which would make it arguably worse, I think. But I don't know... I don't want a situation where Godalming has a forewarned. So then he gets rid of that, and then he's got the stake to deal with the vamp. So again, I'm going to play a little bit conservative, and we can talk to Determinator afterwards and see what he had. I'm going to mature this fog, and I'm going to hit Rome with it. So now Godalming's stuck in Rome for 2 days. He can supply, but having a layered fog nearby would also be useful. It would also be useful. But I don't want to now lose 7 points for that purpose. So let's just fog that. And we'll feed. The way I'm doing this is I'm doing this to guarantee 7 points. There are really clever things you can do as Dracula where you can think, well, maybe if I don't mature, this vampire doesn't get matured, it's not the end of the world, because then I'm setting up a much stronger late game. But there are so many different things that can happen. I might end up layering Bari, and then I never get back there, depending on how I move around the board. Oh, okay, second Crucifix is gone. That's nice. So I think what I'm going to do here is go Madrid, Cardiff, Lisbon, and then maybe into Santander. And I can look to see if I can get back onto the Mediterranean coast, or if I have to go South Atlantic and then go back up to it. I could go up into Britannia or something. So yeah, there's a trade going on. Mina moved into Genoa, and I don't really understand why she did. It's not a terrible position for her to be in. But it just means this part of the board is just a little bit more open for me. So I'm not going to complain. Getting rid of the bullets makes sense. But you're now revealing a rifle. Even though you have a horse that is revealed? Okay. Alrighty. But the fact that horses are being used means that the horse economy is safe. I could also go into Granada today and keep Madrid open. There's also something else I could do. But there's a risk of then Consecrated Ground killing me. Oh, Planned Ambush got discarded. Okay, so that's a combat event that now I don't have to worry about. There are 2 copies of it. At least that's one less thing to worry about. I could also go back to C, which is kind of a funny thing. I could now go back to C again. I don't know if I want to do that. I think I might move into Madrid. It'll give me the most options. If it looks like these 2 aren't moving, I could go into Saragossa. I'm very worried they'll just rail down into here and catch me. We'll definitely mature this and give ourselves a nice juicy 7 points. So, unfortunately, the bats weren't very useful. Unfortunately, we didn't activate them in the end. Maybe it's worth... Maybe I should have let Godalming go into here, because if he has to spend a forewarned on those bats, then that's better for me in the long term. That's kind of the weird thing with this game. You're trying to think about short-term advantage and long-term possibility. What I'm hoping to do here is if I can just put Determinator under a lot of early pressure, he might not be able to deal with it, and I just win very, very quickly. If I was playing... I mean, no respect to Determinator, but he's, as I said, he's improving. He's winning games, which is really good. I also don't know Determinator's style, so I'm just having to make a little bit of assumptions about how he's going to play. But there is also an argument. I could definitely see somebody commenting down below and saying, well, you should actually try to bait the forward. And if you, even if this vampire doesn't mature, if that means that the Huns are now lost or forewarned, then that's better for you. What's better? Burning the forewarned or getting 7 points? You have to wait and see how the rest of the game pans out to find out, I suppose. There's no right or wrong answer. We just have to see. I think we throw down a wolves here. Yeah. Maybe... Maybe... Oh, these two... Both of these going to come down here? I really hope not. This is a little bit risky. This move is risky. I could get caught. At least if Gadami supplies, it's a Dracula event, so he's not going to suddenly get hired scouts and find me, and then the others can react. Determinate seems to be doing all the right things in terms of items, though. All the ones which are being discarded are very logical things to be discarding. So, yeah, his hunters are going to be very well equipped once they do jump on me. But he's not getting any hired scouts, which is a little bit unfortunate. I could have also hid in Alicante to protect that vamp, but I didn't have anything. I mean, I did have a fog. Should I protect it with fog? Maybe not. I think I might go into Santander now, actually. And problem is, Determinator doesn't know where I am. The other option I could do here, so yeah, he doesn't want to move because he doesn't want to go in the wrong direction, right? So I completely understand. I mean, Gadami can't move. It makes sense that Mina stays put. One of these two could easily just rail down here just in case, and then you might get like an evil presence or something. But I understand the not moving thing. Determinator is doing that right. So it's giving me more time to do what I want to do, but also I have to be very respectful of the fact that Determinator is starting to accumulate a lot of very strong events. I assume he's collecting a lot of events, and at some point you're going to get strong ones. So look, Stuart's got 4 events, right? He's a huge threat. Gadami's only got 2, but still, that's not a problem. Van Helsing 3, Mina 3, right? And this one's a speedy telegraph, but that's also very crucial because you can then change the hunter order. So I don't know what the events are, right? I can only guess based upon the ones which have been discarded, but that doesn't still tell me very much. So I have to be very respectful of the fact that suddenly Gadami's a little bit out of position, but these 3 could, with a good combo of renewed vigor, with a chartered carriage or 2 or fast horses, they could just suddenly jump on me, and then I die. Because I'm nowhere near safety. I've already used my feed. So I'm going to have to be very, very respectful of that. I think if I'm going to throw down the hoax, I think now is the right time to throw it. Because I think I want, like, a spy and a damaging encounter like Mob, or a very, very protective one, like Unnatural Fog, later. When the Huns may be coming into Iberia. So let's play hoax now, because I don't think they're going to jump on me this turn. Santander is not a place they're likely going to check now. Unless they suddenly sense of emergency onto me, but that would be very random. They could also try to carriage onto me from Paris. But again, I don't think they would do that with no information of where I am. That being said, then they might now suddenly get hired scouts and then they find me. Hoax provides no protection. So again, I'm playing a little bit with fire here. Still no hired scouts. A little bit unlucky not to have got any hired scouts already. But you did get the newspaper. But that's the other thing too, as the Hunters, you have to try and work with what the event deck is giving you. And then as Dracula, you're trying to make these decisions based upon what events do I think the Hunters have. The more and more events that the Hunters use, that gives Dracula more information, right? You see the Forewarned getting used, Renewed Vigor getting used, and you can start ticking them off in your mind going, right, oh, that's a big discard. A knife is a big discard, so Seward's definitely well equipped. So you start thinking about, okay, I've got all of these different events now that I don't have to worry about. Determinator does have to act a little bit here because there is this vampire that's about to mature. He has to deal with this unless there's a vampire layer. If this vampire does mature and it wipes the hoax, I'm not overly concerned about that. Mina's going. Okay. That's good. Oh. I didn't expect her to go that way. Is there a hypnosis? Possibly. There could well be a hypnosis here. And then the Hunters will know very much where I am. But they've only got then 2 days to deal with this. Do they have a stake? Do they have enough movement to get here? Wax cylinders. I did think about hiding. So, good job I didn't hide. And now I know I've got wax cylinders. So if I hide, Determinator could use that to reveal it and also the location it's associated with. So it's a good job I didn't hide in Alicante, really. Because then that would have been discovered now. And I'd also be... Well, it's fine. I can move it to Santander today. I'll be 1 day. I would have made less progress in terms of moving out of Alicante. But that's fine. Good check just to see if I have hidden. Because it's something I could have easily done. If she has Hypnosis, I would recommend just playing it right now. There's a Hypnosis. Good. Okay, these two are a little bit out of position, but at the same time, it's better to find out that information. Now what I can do is do some very tricky stuff. I could actually now wolf form towards these two, because these two are going to have to come down and deal with this. So they're now going to vacate this space. I think wolf forming is a good idea, because if I go into Bordeaux, there's a chance that one of them might use fast horses to get onto me. But if I wolf form into Nantes, I think it's highly unlikely that they're going to check it. I could also go deeper into Iberia. But I'm going to make a little bit of an assumption here that these two are going to beeline down here. So I'm now going to vacate the space that they're leaving behind. But just in case, I'll throw down a mob. Just in case they do jump on me, I can deal some damage to them, and hopefully that will be okay. But also using a wolf form like that after a Hypnosis is played is not unconventional. And normally you want a Hypnosis after Dracula's wolf formed, because then you're getting more information about where he is. But I understand why Determinator had to play it. Determinator has to find out where this location is. So, and also, Determinator knows I came from sea, so it has to be Barcelona or Alicante, right? So, he has a little bit of a fix of where it is. It's not like he's just blindly going around Iberia trying to find it. He should be realizing here's a port city. So, the Huns are going to have enough movement to get down here. Do they have the stake is the question. But if Seward and Godalming are going down this way... Okay, now they discover... Okay, that's a good check. You discovered that it's Barcelona. So now Seward, at worst case scenario, rails into Alicante, and he can guarantee it. I expected Van Helsing to move. I didn't think he would still be sitting there. Okay, I'm going to have to now... Oh, nice vampire lair. Okay. So even if this vampire matures in Alicante, then I'm still not going to win. I'll be 2 points short. So this game is definitely going to go on a bit longer. Oh, thank you, Gyro. if Seward had rolled a 1, it would have been a 2v1 time. It'd be more likely that he would have gone to Clermont-Ferrand, because then he could move into Toulouse with his normal movement. And then he could check one of these two. Does he have the stake, though? He must have a stake. The unfortunate thing with the timing of how Determinator played that was Mina was delayed for the entirety of that day, because she became delayed with the Hypnosis, and then Renewed Vigor triggered. And because the Hypnosis delayed her, she then lost both of her day actions. And also the night action. I think that's a little bit incorrect, the way that was done, but she lost both her day actions. That is definitely legit. So what I'm going to have to do now, I'm going to have to dance around Van Helsing, which is not what I was expecting to happen, but is what it is. Now, my encounter hand is not very strong anymore. I've got 2 Saboteurs, which in this situation isn't very useful for me. I've got a Fog, which I've got to try and use and not get it taken out of my hand. And also, I mean, Bodyguards is okay. Aristocratic Vampire is good to try and get points, but again, it gives me no defensive value right now if someone jumps onto that space. It can delay them if they find it later down the trail, but if they jump on me, it doesn't do anything. So yeah, I'm having to be a bit respectful. I could just go across to the UK, but I don't have wolf form, so if suddenly now Consecrated Ground comes out, I'm in a lot of danger. So yeah, that's the only downside. Using this, I wish I'd gone into Bordeaux now and saved my wolf form. So that's a pity. But still, they've got a lot of trail to deal with over here. Not that they have to go very deep into Iberia to get it. Okay. Okay, I'm kind of glad I didn't go to Bordeaux now. Because they would know where I am. Okay, so Seward's going to go into Alicante. Now the question is, do I ambush here? You must have a stake. So let's try and do a little bit of damage to Seward. Let's get a little bit of combat going. We want to see some combat, right? Combat's fun. Oh, boo! Boo! Boring, boring to terminate. So, really good escape route. He gets out of that combat, so he doesn't take any damage. So yeah, they'll be able to mop up these two things in Iberia very easily. I didn't go very deep into Iberia, so then that's a downside. But then they don't know where this wolf form is. Did I wolf form out of Iberia, or did I wolf form deeper into Iberia? I could also go to sea now to make them think that I'm scared about them being here, but actually I'm over here. But then consecrated ground is a very big risk. So again, I'm going to have to play a little bit of a deductive game here in terms of what I think the hunters have at their disposal. Okay, that's that vampire didn't survive. I think I'll go to sea. I think I want to make them think that I left from here. Or they could check it very easily. And what's the other option? Because if it's like my wolf form's on the trail and it's not going to come off for a very long time. So sometimes in this game, especially as Dracula, you have to take risks. I'm going to take the risk now that they haven't got consecrated ground because they're not even halfway through the event deck yet. They could have it, but I'm going to play the odds that they don't have it. Right, let's layer this, and let's get rid of one of these saboteurs. Okay, wolves is a little bit better. Let's go English channel. Now, what I'm hoping is they'll think, oh, he's scared, because now we've dealt with all this stuff, and we're going to jump on him in Iberia, but then they'll check these ports, and they start to discover I'm not there. All I need to do here is get into London, and then get into something like Swansea. And I'll be very safe then. Although Van Helsing here could be deductive and go into non, and then he discovers that. So I could be getting CG'd off the UK, but that'd be kind of a nice mirror of what happened in the game when I was playing Hunters and Tony was as Dracula. So we'll have to see. I don't know. Well, yeah, maybe. Maybe I should move one more sea space, but then it's making me way more under threat of CG. Oh, I didn't mean to ambush. Oops. Okay, so it's a good teaching lesson for this. So Seward only has a knife. Okay, I didn't want to ambush there. I wanted Seward to waste his night action to search that. That was a misclick. As Dracula, you don't want to be ambushing. Because you're actually giving the hunters more time because you're giving them free night actions. So that was a mistake. I just was looking at chat and I just clicked without thinking what I was doing. Okay, so he's now caught on to where I am. So he knows what's going on. I'm going across into the UK. Okay, that's a problem. And without wolf form, I am in a vulnerable position. I should have kept going on land, I think. But then they probably would have twigged anyway. But good move by Van Helsing to move to check this. Hey, thanks. Yeah, good move. Good move. Okay, so you're delayed. So that's good. So I don't have to worry about you tomorrow. Not that you're going to be able to do much anyway. So, yeah. My trail's now become incredibly short. So yeah, Detona got a very good job there. I have to think about it from, I have to look at what he's used, right? Renewed Vigor's been used, a Hypnosis has been used, a Charlie Carriage has been burnt, Vampire Lair has been used, so he's using events, but he's dealt with pretty much the whole trail. So I'm going to have to take a gamble here. I'm just going to land in the UK, because if I don't do this now, I think my game will become worse. I'm just going to take the gamble that they don't. have... They don't have the CG to kill me. Or not kill me, but force me off the UK. I'm actually going to throw down the aristocratic, because then at least there's a vampire they have to go and deal with. If I somehow get forced off the UK, then that encounter will still be there. So I'm going to get rid of the... I'm going to put down the aristocratic. And I might actually just put down a rumour token. Oh, I can't rumour token it. Never mind. Can't do that. Because it's Saturday. It hasn't gone into the next week. Okay. This is risky. But I'd rather take this risk now than move another sea space, and then it gets worse for me. Because it gives him more time to find consecrated ground or whatever. But yeah, ambushing Seward was a mistake. I should have done that. He has all the heavenly hosts needed, because we saw him go through the entire the entire item deck, and no heavenly hosts were discarded. So unless a hunter's running around with 2 of them, but I don't think that's possible, because we've had, you know, I think there might have been a trade here in Rome, but there's definitely trades going on in Paris between Van Helsing and Seward. The 3 heavenly hosts are there and prepped. The question is, does he have consecrated ground? That's the question. If he has it, I'd rather that he plays it now. The trail gets wiped, but only one encounter is discarded. I get the wolf form back. I can do some stuff. Sorry, Fangs, I've disabled sound alerts for this stream, just for the sake of the YouTube audience. Okay. We'll skip you, because I want you to deal with that at night. If I'm able to find a way to refund it, if it's, then yes. Because I get my sound alerts through different sources, so some of them have refundability, some don't. If I'm able to, I'll refund. Yeah, I am in a bit of trouble here, especially if they have excellent weather and things. So I probably won't be spending a lot of time in Britannia, assuming I can move. If I can move into Swansea and then Liverpool, I'm okay, because I can hide and I can stay a little bit longer. At least I'm going to start layering these positions, so I can start trying to get better stuff into my deck. So I didn't really... Okay, he has consecrated ground. Okay. Not ideal. I should have maybe ambushed Van Helsing. Okay, well, I did say earlier that he was supplying a lot, so he's getting good stuff, and that is definitely a good thing. But I'm not dead yet, so it's not great, because I'm going to take a 5 penalty damage. And then I'm going to get pushed into English Channel, and then I probably have to move another sea space. Although... there is one advantage here, which is he's put the permanent token in London, which means I can't just go into English Channel and then go back, but he's left Manchester open, so I could go English Channel North Sea, and then I could wolf form into Manchester. But there's a risk that somebody comes over to deal with the London vampire, and then there's a horror leap and stuff. This could end very badly for me. So yeah, he's accumulated a lot of good stuff. I took the risk, and it didn't work out, so that's fine. The problem is, a lot of this stuff is not going to get layered now, because it'll get wiped from the trail. But I can layer Madrid, so I didn't really explain what layering was. But layering is when you... when a location slides off the trail, if there's an encounter card in it, or if there isn't, it doesn't matter, you can choose to layer it. And it means that the location goes into the layer section of the board. Let me just quickly play the layer, and I'll show you what happens. Oh, so this is the layer section. So 3 cities can be in this layer, the layer section of the board or the game. And obviously, if it's a layer, then you don't have it inside your active hand. But you can then return to layers later. But basically, what it is The location is not on your trail, so it can't mature in any way, but it can sit there with an encounter or two or whatever inside. And if a hunter steps onto that lair location, you can choose to ambush them like they would if they were moving onto a space on your trail. But it doesn't mature, so you don't have to deal with lairs as hunters, but you can use them to sort of block certain locations, which is very interesting. As Dracula, you can return to the lairs if you want to, and then you keep all of the encounters plus add another one when you move in, so you can create these sort of super lairs with multiple encounters, which can be very difficult to deal with. Okay, so I've got a bit of a problem here. So I'm going to have to move, but I can't move because every location I can move into is blocked. So that's the problem when you land from sea without your wolf form. But I took the risk and it didn't work. So I've taken 5 damage, but now the whole trail is gone apart from my current location. So now I can go into the English Channel, but that's my only viable move, so I have to go now. And because I was going to the sea, I take 2 damage. So yeah, that was painful. But the game is still going. This encounter has to be dealt with. In hindsight, I probably wish I hadn't put this vampire here now, because it's going to make a hunter go across to Britannia to deal with it. Whereas, if I'd put something else, then maybe somebody would have thought, I don't have to go and deal with it, I won't send a hunter over there. Okay, I'm not quite sure why you're moving over here. But okay. Right, Seward, where are you off to? So I should have ambushed Van Helsing, because obviously that encounter was lost for free. Okay, Van Helsing's going to go along and deal with that. That makes sense. Okay, they're all congregating in Le Havre. That's interesting. Okay, I'm going to have to move a second sea space, because obviously I can't go into London, because it's a consecrated ground, and you can't wolf form through consecrated ground tokens. So it's not as if I could wolf form through London into Manchester or Swansea from English Channel. I could land in Plymouth, but that'd be pretty stupid, because then eventually in a few turns' time, I'm going to be stuck behind this consecrated ground token, which I can't move. So that's not going to happen. I could wolf form into Gallia, but then you got these 2 hunters here, and, you know, Godalming and Van Helsing are very close by. I'm going to have to move into another sea space. The question is, which sea space do I want to move into? I think I'm going to go to North Sea. I don't know why Godalming's moved here. So I've got a couple of different options. I could move into North Sea and then try to get into Britannia that way, but there's a risk now because you've got Van Helsing sitting here. You could have a heroic leap and then I just die. So I could go to North Sea and then wolf form this way, and I try and head east. These 2 have horses. They could easily run up to me and catch me. The other option is I go into North Atlantic, and then I wolf form into Iberia. I just don't know what Van Godalming's doing. I don't want suddenly Godalming to backtrack into Iberia, because then that will ruin my entire plan. But I've got a feeling these 2 are just going to move this way. I think this gives me a little bit more room to maneuver. I'm going to go to North Sea. I've taken a lot of damage, and if I wolf form now, I'll be on 3 health. So if any hunter jumps on me, I'm just going to die, I think. It'll be very, very difficult for me to survive this. I mean, it's kind of deja vu, because in the previous game that we did, the exact same thing happened to the Terminator. But because it happened in a slightly different part of the game, the only way he was able to land was to land onto Le Havre, where I had hunters waiting. But I had a little bit more HP this time, so I wasn't able to do that. If anybody's watching this and wondering, well, there are Dracula cards. Why doesn't Dracula get events? Dracula does get events, but the thing is, you only get Dracula events if either you mature a hoax, or if the hunter's night supply... Okay, very good movement here. Is the Terminator listening to this stream? Is the Terminator actually here or not? Oh! I didn't expect you to go to North Sea. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So yeah, you can only get events if the Hunter's Night supply and then there's a Dracula event on the bottom and they give it to you. Or if you get a Hoax Mature, or as Fangs is saying, if you play with the Dark Hole rule, but as I said, we're playing with standard rules. So if you don't know, there's a Dark Hole variant when you use the Dark Hole ability. If there's a Dracula event on top, you gain the card. But we're playing with the standard rule set, so we're not doing that. So yes, as Dracula, if you join our community and play with our meta, you have to work with the possibility that you're going to get no event cards. You have to try to learn to win without it. You can see how difficult it is. Even against somebody like Terminator who's not got a huge amount of experience, he has definitely been practicing. I think he's been practicing with the AI off camera. I think that's what he's been doing. He's getting good. There was not a lot of inefficient movement going on. He got a lot of good stuff, and he saw the CG opportunity and he took it. So I've got some interesting decisions here. Do I try to wolf form this way? And try to outrun them? I don't think I'll be able to outrun them, but we could try that. Or do I go into the UK? As someone who practices with the AI off camera, it will not get you good. But in the sense of getting used to how the hunters work and becoming efficient with your movements. I don't mean in terms of the deductive side of the game, but in terms of getting events into your hand, getting used to sitting and supplying, and looking at the stuff that you got in your hand and understanding when you can play it. I think the AI has a little bit of merit in that sense. And when you're first starting off, I think the Terminator has to play a lot more against people. He's getting good. I wish I hadn't lost the previous footage where I beat him very easily. So that's my fault. But you can, it's just a teaching video, so it's fine. So I could wolf him into Manchester, but I'm worried that Gadami's just going to instantly move into here. I could potentially forewarn him, but again, I don't know if he's got forewarned or not, because we didn't do that whole thing with the bats earlier. See how those decisions are now coming into play. I mean, London still has to be dealt with. London still has to be dealt with. I mean, the other option is I could play very sneaky and wolf form into Cologne. So let's... I'm going to wolf form... Do I wolf... Oh, I could even wolf form into Brussels, but there's a risk that Mina will come in here. I think the situation I'm in is pretty poor. So I think I have to take a little bit of a gamble. So I'm going to actually wolf form really close to the hunters here and hope that they'll then run past me. Let's throw down wolves. The Terminator did see the stream on Wednesday. Yeah, so basically on YouTube, what's going to happen is the video that's going to come out after this is a stream where I analyze Pizza Wizard and Fangs of Fire playing. I was talking over the top of it and explaining what they were doing. Terminator did watch that stream, so it's probably now fool me, right? That he watched that stream and now he's using it all that knowledge to his advantage. But that's okay. I mean, he could just have renewed vigor. Oh, he has speedy telegraph. If Seward just blindly moves into Cologne here, I'm going to be fuming. If I could have beaten Hitler Berlin all this time. Oh, good money trap. Oh, he's not moving, though, with Seward. Okay, well, we'll take that. We'll take that. We'll take that. So very good use of events, actually, because normally money trails on Godalming, but because of the speedy telegraph, it allows Sue to have it, and now Godalming's coming across. So now I've got to deal with Godalming. So that's another one I've got to have. Need a good 1v1 fight. Get escapers back. Yes! Yeah, I'm screwed in this game. That consecrated ground is really going to cost me, I think. He's letting London mature. Shame there's no rumour token on it. But never mind. Ah, please don't block Strasbourg. Going Brussels. Okay. I think I get up against a very difficult battle here. I think Snuff is absolutely right. The only way is try and get a fight with somebody, and then escape his bat. It's going to be very difficult to survive that long. I mean, the advantage is I don't have Consecrated Ground to worry about anymore, and maybe he doesn't have the other Renewed Vigor. So if I can dance around them, I might be okay. But this is going to be very difficult. Oh, Mina has a Forewarned. Oh, she has Forewarned. Interesting. And I'm going to have to play this Fog at the right time. So yeah, I think Strasbourg is just a no-brainer. Although, he might just check it. I don't think... I think I have to save my Fog for later. Because if he catches me in Strasbourg with Fog, I don't think I then survive. Because there's just so many places. I mean, there's a lot of places I could then move to, I suppose. But without Wolf form, it's going to be very difficult. So I think we just play Spy, to be honest. If one person jumps in, I might be able to burn a weapon and then escape his bat, but... yeah, this is going to be tough. This is going to be very, very tough. Is there any point here using this Rumor token? Don't think so. I think we'll wait, actually. I have to hope he hasn't got the second Renewed Vigor or the second Speedy Telegraph. But yeah, I've now got Gadari to worry about. He'll probably go into Geneva, which means I could go into Paris. But the problem is I can't ever go back. Oh, he's going this way. Oh, you're blocking Paris. Okay. Ah, that's not good. Because he now knows that I'm adjacent to Cologne, which gives him way more idea of where I am. Yeah, okay, that's good. Oh, she has Forewarned, so the spy is useless. Ah! Oh, I didn't even see who... oh, I'm such an idiot. Why is it I never do this? So, Dracula played... Determined to play Consecrated Ground, and I didn't pay attention to who revealed Heavenly Host. Why is it I never pay attention to who played Heavenly Host with the Consecrated Ground? I just see it happen, and I just don't pay... the interface tells you, and I didn't look. So now I'm trying to work out, does she have Heavenly Host? Well, I have to try and burn this Forewarned, right? So we may as well use this Spy. Because then, at least then, if there's a Fog or something later... so there's no event. So there's no Heroic Lead that can just instantly kill me. But I'm going to have to try and escape his bat. And the problem is, I can't remember. I don't know if she has a Heavenly Host or not. My gut feeling is she wouldn't. She must have a knife. But I actually don't know. Fanging here might not be a bad idea, because I would actually get health back. But then, does he... oh, do you have Heavenly Host? Oh, no! Oh, I don't remember. Curse me not looking who had Heavenly Host. Yeah, she could also play the rifle first. True. The biggest information for Dracula in the entire game, but because TG is so eventful, I think Dracula gets a little stunned. If it gets to chat, yes. But I should have known it was going to happen, because I did say there's a risk that I could get CG'd here. I'm just too busy talking and just not enough attention going into the game. So that's my own fault. So if I die now because of this, that's my own stupidity. But I should have been paying attention to who had it. I think you have one. I think you would have one. I think maybe Van Helsing has one. So maybe I work off the assumption she doesn't have it. And I think just mesmerizing is a good idea. But then she could just punch. I suppose I have no... I'm also trying to think about what I'm going to do next round, right? If I play Mesmerize, and if she punches me, I now suddenly have no defensive card for next round. I might draw the other Mesmerize or one of the two strengths. But what happens if I don't? So, I'm in a real pickle here. So... My win condition is killing her. Yeah, but the problem is if my only mesmerize is blocked, is my win condition killing her? No, my win condition is escaping his bat. Surely that's more advantageous here. I've now got this thing about to mature, but I need 2 turns to get that to mature. I guess if I could fog, then I might be okay. Problem is, I have nothing then to block rifle the next turn. I guess I could just fang and just then counteract the damage, but it's a difficult one. So I'm going to make the assumption she has a knife. There was one knife that got discarded at one point before the deck reset. Ah, this is the problem. There's so many things you have to do here. If I had more health to play with, I could be a little bit more sort of flippant about my attitude, but I don't know what I should do. I mean, my gut feeling tells me I should mesmerize, but then that's very likely that she's then going to punch. Or she can just play Heavenly Host first, because Heavenly Host is just very, very good, because it counters the mesmerize. But the thing is, if I use the fangs, then Heavenly Host could get played next round. I'll go standard and play defensive, and I hope I get another defensive card for next round. But if he plays Heavenly Host, then I just lose. No, he played Punch. So I should have fanged there, because I would have gained... Or Clawed would have been even better, because I would have done some damage to her. Right, have I now drawn another defensive card? No, I gained fucking Plotting, which is useless. Utterly useless in this situation. So the only thing I can do is fang. And I just hope that she plays Rifle. So then I heal 2, and then she does 2 back to me, and I live 1 turn. I hadn't even drawn Escape as Bat, so this could be very bad for me. If he has a knife, then you just play the knife, I reckon. But we'll see. I'm clutching at straws here. Ooh, okay, that's fine. I'm still alive, so we'll take it. I'm still in the game. Unless she suddenly now got Holy Bullets that I didn't know about, but... No. Okay. So now the problem with playing this way is I'm very reliant on what I'm drawing. What have I drawn now? I've drawn another Fangs. Well, I have to play Fangs then, right? Are you going to play... So I think if you have another weapon, you'd be very scared of it being broken, I think. But there's a chance that you're going to play Heavenly Host now, because you're going to look to try to Heavenly Host me before I can escape as Bat. Because I can't escape as Bat until next round. That's the timing of Dracula's Pride ability. So I think fanging here is good. But you might just play knife. I can't stop the knife anyway, so it's fine. Yay! We got it! Woo! Nice. He did have Heavenly Host on Mina. Do you have great... Oh, you have great strength. Oh, no. So I'm not getting the points for it. So Mina doesn't die, so I don't get any points. So it's probably best case scenario for him in a way, because if I didn't have that fang, he kills me. But I don't get any influence for doing that. So yeah, it's still a really good position for him. If I managed to, if the Great Strength wasn't there, I mean, now the Great Strength is gone; it's been discarded. But if that Great Strength wasn't there, then I would have gone up 4 influence points, and then I just have to survive 1 more day, and then London matures, and then I win. So yeah. This is now very difficult. Where do I go next, is the question. We know these 3 have horses. I feel that... I think going to Brussels is a good idea. It gives me access to 2 different ports, which I could then fog, and then feed, and then leave. The problem is North Sea's on the trail, but then London's about to mature, which will get North Sea off the trail. I don't know if playing fog this turn is the right idea. I mean, maybe it could be. But the problem is then, what happens the next turn, right? I think that's the issue. if I play Fog this turn, if I was in a situation where I say had one more influence point and this was rumoured, and all I have to do is to ensure that London matures, then absolutely I'd throw down the Fog now, defend myself, and then the thing matures and I win. But it's not. So again, it's a case of thinking about what's going to happen the turn after, right? I feel what's going to happen is if I play Fog now, if they find me or don't find me, there's then a case of, well, what do I do next turn? And I'm back. Whereas I would like the safety net of just being, I can just go into a port and I can just put down Fog, and then they're going to have to try and play with their one remaining forewarned correctly, whether they have it or not. I think maybe Gadami might have it, but I'm not certain. I think Brussels gives me a little bit more flexibility. Again, I know I'm beside 2 hunters, but again, that might make them suspect something. The other option, I just go to Geneva, but then Gadami's going to check it because it's there. I mean, the other option is, I mean, Frankfurt is also an option, or something like Zurich could also work. Zurich could also work. But then what happens if Marseille gets blocked? I'm then trapped in land then. Whereas with Brussels, I've got 2 different ports I can go to. But then again, the Terminator might suspect that that's the case. So I'm just gonna have to put down bodyguards. I mean, this game's gone to shit because of this consecrated ground. I'm gonna put a rumor token on Cologne just to maybe make them panic, and then they have to deal with it maybe. Even though London's gonna mature anyway, but I don't know if the Terminator's maybe forgotten about it. I could have also saved the rumor token for this, but I suspect this encounter to be found. I think Brussels is sneaky, then go to Amsterdam with Fog and feed. See, now it's turned into a teaching stream, but now the streamer telling me what to do. Oh yeah! Okay, so good. Really good job we didn't go to Geneva. That would have been really bad, the fact that Gadami moved first and they all could have reacted. Oh, you bastard! No! No! Oh! No! Oh, he's too good. He's too good for me. He's expecting all the sneaky stuff. Has he played against sneaky Draculas? Is this what it is? I've been done up like a fucking kipper here. Ah, so even London's not going to mature, I don't think. What's the situation with health? Well, I think we skip this. He's watched Sneaky Draculas. That's just outrageous, by the way. I teach people, check the extremities first, because they're the most risky, and then he's like, oh no, I'm going to check the one by... Ah. Is this heroic leap? Come on, fight me. You know you want to. Yeah, it's her absolute coward. It's heroic leap. Yeah, well, ah. Boo hiss, say the crowd. Oh well. Probably not the best teaching stream. I don't think we can hear it, Gyro. I've disabled sound alerts. I'm gonna have to now try and refund that. Thanks, Gyro. Oh dear. Oh, GG. So that went really badly. But it was a good teaching moment, I think, because of the fact that I had to take that risk to go into Britannia. Or Britannica, whatever it's called. I can't remember what that region is called. The UK, right? But it didn't work because he had consecrated ground. If consecrated ground was not there, and he was not even halfway through the deck. So I think me taking the risk there was the right decision. But in everything in hindsight, it wasn't the right decision. But I had to take the probability game that he didn't have consecrated ground. If I could move from London to Swansea, I would have had a little bit of time to lay down traps, feed, do whatever I want, and then leave, and I would have had Wolf Form available to Wolf Form from North Sea or North Atlantic or whatever. But Determinator played very well in the sense, you know, the first encounter I put down was quite difficult. The fog blocking, I should have probably, in hindsight, tried to see if he had a forewarned or not. But I guess it doesn't really. It would have delayed Godalming a little bit, and would have put him a little bit out of position by getting battered into Bari. But never mind, it's okay. And that was the real problem in terms of I went to Iberia when suddenly I didn't expect Seward to randomly sense of emergency all the way across to do a trade with Van Helsing. If I'd gone east, I would have had a much better game, but that was the problem. I had to make the decision before the hunters moved. So I guess then that's the real learning outcome, is you should, as Dracula, you should not commit until you see the hunters move, but sometimes you have to commit a little bit. Yeah, GG Determinator got me good. Trust you to have consecrated ground on that turn. And all the good stuff. You couldn't just give me the meter kill. You had the great strength. But that's the thing. Look how close it was, right? We're talking about the CG thing, but if you didn't have great strength, Mina would have died there, so I would have got the influence points, and then I could have played Fog in Brussels, or wherever I went, and then the Vampire Matroners in London would have been enough for me to win. So it's really fine margins, and that's kind of the really cool thing with this game. When you look at the IDS, you'll be like, oh my god, right? But that's the kind of the thing that we were talking about it with, like the Hunter game, and also then the video you're going to see next in this series, where I'm analyzing Pizza Wizard and Fangs and Fires' game, where, you know, on the surface you can look at something and think, oh, that was quite one-sided one way or the other, but then you see, you know, the number of events that Hunters can accumulate, and then how much they're able to make a comeback in a game, and just how just a 1 point difference here or there is going to make a big difference. Too much C. Yeah, probably. But it's okay. I made the decision to do it, and Determinator didn't fall for it. It's okay. Ultimately, at the end of the day, this was to teach how Dracula works with certain things, and I think we did that. We saw quite a lot of Dracula action. We had a little bit of combat, which was good fun. But at the same time, I don't think the early seed movement was too much of a problem, because the vampire removed all those seed spaces. So if I placed encounters, all I would have done was just increase my encounter economy just a tiny bit, but not too much. Yeah, he did deal with stuff in Spain very quick, because I didn't go very deep into Iberia. That's fair. I didn't go to Lisbon, I didn't go into Cardiff, I didn't go into Granada. Your sense of emergency with Seward really threw me off to Terminator. As soon as I saw that, I was thinking to myself, why not? I could have just gone east. I would have gone east. It would have been amazing. I would have had so much time to run around and do lots of stuff. I expected Seward to stay put in Vienna. I didn't expect both of them to move off Vienna like they did. Yeah, I understood what was happening, but I didn't know that was going to happen. So suddenly I just saw you charging westward. I was like, oh my god, I've gone into Iberia when it's something that's going to be 300. If Mina had stayed westward rather than going to Genoa, that would have been even worse for me. I mean, in that case, I would have just gone deep into Iberia and then just leave. And then just go really far east again, probably. But I took a little bit of a gamble, but it didn't work. You've been practicing Determinator. I see what's going on. How very dare you. You're supposed to suck, and then I beat you in a teaching stream, and then you get good. A bit. That's okay. Good game. Well played. Well played. It's really good to see when people come in and, you know, as I said, I did say in the commentary a couple times, you getting wins. You got wins on both sides. That's really good. You know, the bug is bitten for you, Determinator, right? You've got the bug to. You've got the winning streak going. Now you just want to keep playing. So, I've also not played a little bit for a while, so I was a little bit cavalier. But I mean, the job did it. You know, the stream did its purpose, right? In the sense of we showed off the different aspects of what Dracula could do. We showed off some of the. We didn't see Dark Call because we never see Dark Call, but we saw the hide. We saw wolf form. We saw the feed. We had a little bit of combat. It's like our game. Determinator, when we had the other flip side, right? We saw a little bit of everything. We saw some events, we saw a little bit of combat, we saw the consecrated ground. It was actually deja vu from the previous game with the CG. So we saw a little bit of everything. I think that was a really nice game. Really nice game. So, oh, look at that. 2 minutes before the advert. Perfect timing. All planned out. But it was really close, and I think that's you know, they're just very small, fine margins again. But again, I think from a hunter side, obviously I didn't know exactly what you had and decisions, but, you know, you took that fight with Mina, and you played the Heavenly Host because you knew you had great strength, so she wasn't going to die there. But if you then killed me, then you win the game, right? So you took the risk at the right time, and I think that's really good. And then also then Van Helsing checking Nantes when he did, which meant then you knew exactly where I was, and there was no funny business going on in terms of me doing, you know, other stuff. So that was really good. I didn't plan my trail incredibly well, but you then punished me for it, and you know that's how it should be done. So it was really good. Not my finest hour, but taking nothing away from you, Determinator, you beat me fair and square. It was very fun. I've missed playing Dracula because I played so much Hunters during the Spring League. So yeah. Is there anything? I think most of the people who are watching are experienced Fury of Dracula people at this point. But if there's anybody in the chat who wants to answer any questions or anything, Determinator, do you have anything in particular you wanted to talk about with the game? Otherwise, we'll sign off, at least for this video, and then I can start getting everything edited. So yeah, hopefully people who are watching this, you get a little bit of an idea of how to play Dracula, albeit not very well, but that's okay. I'm more of a hunter player anyway. But I have won tournaments where I've had to play on both sides, and I'm not a terrible Dracula player. I'm just not the best Dracula player. But that's okay. I like being a little bit. I think also, as much as like people take it seriously when you play normally sort of normal friendly games and stuff, I think it's also important when you're learning. It's not a big deal if you lose quite a lot of games because you can kind of limit tests, and I think taking risk is a good idea, especially as Dracula, because you get to learn things about certain players, right? So if I was to play Determinator again, I would then know about. You know, I now know that Determinator likes to check the sneaky locations and isn't afraid to check a position that gives you a lot of information. So obviously then the next time I play Determinator, then I would have a lot more respect and knowledge of that particular side of Terminator's gameplay, right? So I think limit testing is a really important thing. And also then when you're playing as hunters, go for a big play, go for the, you know, the big combo and just see if it works out or not. If it doesn't work, then you can analyze why, and then you got that knowledge, right? If you don't try stuff, then your knowledge base is a little bit more restricted. So I think taking risks is a good thing. Don't stress so much about the winning and losing bit. Just enjoy yourself and try to gain as much knowledge as possible. After consecrated ground, you are then allowed to go to sea. Yes, yeah. So basically, the reason why is what you did. So I'm going to use a bit of terminology, which maybe new people won't know. But you didn't CG nuke me. You basically did like a basic checkmate, which was very good. It was very, very good, and it was the right time to play it. And I was talking in commentary about this is very risky because if you have CG here, I could take a lot of damage. But you play the CG. I wasn't able to move. When that happens, I take the checkmate penalty or error penalty of 5 damage, and then all of the trail is removed except for my current location. And then I still move. In a situation where you're in a location like Granada or in Prague, where you're completely surrounded and you can't move, you just keep taking the checkmate penalty over and over and over until you have no health. But in this situation, because the English Channel then became open, I was able to move into the English Channel. So if you ever CG somebody in a port city, you can never fully checkmate them because they always get the sea space trail, the sea space behind them cleared, and they can then move back to sea. Unless they're very low health, and then they don't have enough health to sustain that. It's kind of what happened to you in our game when we did it the flip way. The same thing happened, but you then didn't have enough damage to go an additional sea space, so you had to then land into my location. That's okay. No, that's alright. There's a lot of weird... I mean, you don't see CG checkmates a huge amount. You see them a little bit. But Draculas normally really respect consecrated ground, so they do everything to avoid that. And that's why I was talking in commentary. I should really be wolf forming from the sea, but wolf form was on cooldown. So I had a real problematic thing. Do I go to sea? or do I keep trying to move on land? Hindsight, I should have tried to go on land and then wait for my wolf form to be on cooldown and then wolf form from the sea somewhere. But never mind. I took the risk and it didn't work. So that, as a teaching moment, that was really good. You punished me very hard for my mistake, and I think that's a good thing for people to watch. So yeah, we did allude to it in the chat that there is going to be a tournament in the next few months. So between we have to try and work out when it's going to start, but normally they run between September and then the very, very beginning bit of December every year. But depending on how we formatted this year, it might start a little bit early, not sure. But if you're watching this in July and you're potentially interested in joining our community, there's a link down below to the Discord. You don't have to compete in the tournament if you don't want to. You want to just play friendly games with us, that's absolutely fine. But if you're interested in the tournament, just feel free to come along, and when you start playing some practice games with us, just feel free to say hello and say that you're interested in the tournament, and we'll get you involved with that when it becomes nearer the time. So yeah, I think that was it was certainly an interesting one. So I think, yeah, as I said, even though I lost, there was a certain win condition there for me, but you had a lot of good stuff. I know you checked Brussels. There was talk in the chat about maybe moving to a different location, but I feared that I would just run out of turns. If I went to somewhere else, like Zurich or Frankfurt, then I might have been too far away from a port. I mean, I know Zurich could go into Marseille, but I was worried that maybe Marseille could get blocked somehow. So, you know, it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. Be able to have just enough movement. You ignored London, which meant if I managed to get a kill, then you would have lost the game. But it meant you had an additional hunter on the board in the center of the map to block locations and move in ways that maybe I wouldn't be able to anticipate, or if there's a chartered carriage or sense of emergency or something. So he was very relevant. So that was good. Okie dokie. People on Twitch, I'll hang around for a little bit longer, but everybody on YouTube, thank you for watching this, and hopefully you've learned something from this, and you've seen the basics of how Dracula moves and things, and some of the decisions you have to take during the game. But every game of Fury of Dracula is different, and depending on how the encounter cards and all the event cards and stuff fall out, then everything is different, even though you play on the same board every time. Yeah, as I said, pardon my slightly cavalier attitude to playing Dracula, but I'm always kind of that way anyway. In tournament games, I get very, very stressed and tense playing as Dracula. I find it more stressful than playing Hunters, to be honest. Maybe because you're out of control of lots of things. Again, hopefully you've learned something. Yeah. Feel free to check out any of the other series of videos that are on my channel. We do, well, as I said, we've got another game like this playing as the Hunters. We've got lots of games where I'm analysing my own gameplay, friendly games, and also in tournaments, analysing other people's games. And also we've got a video coming out tomorrow, which will be on the channel if you're watching this after the fact, where I'm analysing two players playing a game against each other, but for the first time ever, we've got it where instead of using the spectator mode inside the game, we're actually doing it where I can see the hand of the Hunter players and the hand of the Dracula player, because it was all shared through Discord. So definitely a very different perspective, and it allows for slightly more in-depth or less speculative commentary, let's say, which I do like the speculative commentary of tournament games, but it just gives us a different dimension and things. So feel free to subscribe and leave comments down below if you're interested in seeing any other videos like this. There's lots of other videos on the channel too, with talking about the event cards. We did an event card tier list for the Hunters, and there was a lot of interesting chat between the round table that we had going for that. Whereas we've got things about the Hunter positions. I'm going to make some videos soon about, or at some point when I find time, about Dracula tips and tricks and Hunter hand management, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, thank you for watching, everybody. And I will see you all in another video for Fury of Dracula very soon. Take care, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.